Good day, my koala crew, and welcome back to the Corner of Remnant. My name is Larissa, and I'm joined by co-host Emperial Dawn.
Hello.
And today we are discussing Chapter 11 of RWBY Volume 8. Yay! Also, thank you, Davey, for the resub.
Thank you very much. A little intermission there. Thank you, much appreciated.
Yee. So, this episode, I really love this episode. Even, yeah, sure, there wasn't a huge amount of things happening, but there's lots of character interactions, which were amazing. And
basically, the stuff we'll sit down and just take a whole volume of. Everyone else will be mad, but me and Larissa will sit here and be very happy with it.
Yes, I love my character sort of interactions, and like there was a lot of feels in this episode. Spoiler for my reaction, I cried, of course. Nice. As you know which scene I would have in.
It's very funny. I feel like for you, I can also tell what that is. I feel like I would cry. I almost cried as well, but it'd be for I think for a later scene.
Yes.
Made me cry.
So yeah.
When we get to that, we'll see if we line up or not.
There were a lot of feels, which was good. It was good to get these moments because this volume has been very action-packed. There's been a lot of things going on, and it's nice to actually get some little character interactions in there that we had a lot of in the first few seasons of RWBY because they had time to do it, but with everything else going on at the moment. They weren't in the middle of a war, exactly.
But no, I think they did a very good job with kind of disposing of the whale and Salem.
Yes.
In a digestible enough of a way for now we can have these kind of scenes.
Yes.
Where we can kind of do that. We'd obviously, when our team was just in the manor and the whale was attacking, everyone was kind of a bit skeptical of that direction.
Yeah.
Whereas now it feels a lot more natural and organic, and it feels much more tolerable, I guess.
Yes.
And I think it paid off well because you got a lot of emotional hits. I would say the three major beats were hit in the manor scene stuff alone. Three major kind of plot points.
Yes.
Were addressed in there, and I can't wait to discuss all three really. I mean, and even the other stuff with with the good boy and with Crow as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where we go for the next 3 episodes. I will say. Episode 11 is normally a pretty significant one in most RWBY seasons. Episode 11 tends to be the grand, a lot of times 11 tends to be the good episode kind of thing. Obviously, you have no breaks in Volume 2 with the Neo-Yang fight.
Yes.
Everything goes to crap, or Heroes and Monsters.
Heroes and Monsters, yes. Everything
bad happens.
Everything bad happened in Volume 3, basically.
Hero.
Yes.
Next episode. Then,
except for Chapter 9 and 12, yeah.
Volume 4 is kind of where you finally see everyone's story right before the end.
Yep.
And Volume 5 is when everything goes down at the school.
Yes.
Volume 6 is the start of Blake and Adam.
Yep.
Which is just awesome. And then Volume 7, obviously, Gravity, which is still
the
best episode of RWBY.
Yes. Yes, that episode so good.
I remember going into this, it didn't pop into my head, this is episode 11, which is probably good, because if I kind of thought about it more, I probably would have been disappointed.
Yeah.
11 normally has that grandeur.
Has something. But I guess it is really setting the scene, because we got 14 episodes this volume as well.
It also means that what would be 11 would happen a little later, like 12 or 13.
Yeah, so exactly.
That's also a great point.
I think it's really good too because it's giving them an extra few episodes to be able to put these, like we said, these character interactions in. Because if they only had 12 episodes, they wouldn't have been able to squeeze it all in. So
this is an episode I can 100% see just not happening, or at least a lot shorter, a lot more compressed in say a 13 or 12 episode volume. So good on them and stuff. And also again, these kind of episodes are just easier to produce, I'd imagine. Not doing fighting or choreography or anything like that. You can just kind of a lot of subtle, and that's why I think RWBY does its best animation is just when it's facial expressions and talking and stuff.
They're really nailing it with the
really good at that stuff.
The facial expressions and the body language and the characters this volume. So
especially for models that aren't super detailed or anything, they're quite bland, more anime detailed. You look at that compared to say another example off the top of my head, the most recent Clone Wars animated series that came out earlier this year, and just how bulky those models are and how much expression you can get out of those.
Yeah.
The flat face anime style of RWBY. It's quite impressive.
And this is also an episode where the voice actors really can shine. which is good too, because it's not just where the animation's more the shining thing with the fights and everything. In these moments, it is the voice actors, and they all nailed it. I thought Neith was amazing, of course, as Ren, Samantha as Nora, because Barb and Lindsay were amazing as Ruby and Yang, and just everyone was just great this episode. The voice actor for Emerald as well. I can't remember.
Katie Newville,
yeah. So I thought they were all amazing in this episode, and Mara as well. Actually, we'll get into that scene too.
Mick something.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, no, really good. I mean, Mara's always been really, really good.
But yeah,
voice acting wise. I remember Neith and Samantha. I think I've had Lenore and Grant. I've had a few criticisms of. I think in the past 2 volumes. A little bit, but no, I think they've really, really shined really well here.
Mm-hmm.
Really well.
I felt Neith's really coming into really putting the emotion in Ren's voice.
Normally,
no, he isn't. He isn't a professional voice actor.
He took this role, for his family's sake.
Yeah.
And I think this volume.
These last couple volumes, he's been really, really amazing.
Yeah. He's also had he does have the opportunity to kind of stretch his wings and kind of really have a go at it. Especially again in this era when it's probably a lot harder to kind of have that voice acting director next to you and kind of especially for Neith, obviously he doesn't live in the same country. Obviously,
no, he doesn't either.
So that's always the difficulty with him. Let alone COVID. For every other voice actor doesn't have Carrie and stuff around kind of directing them.
Yes.
They've done a really, really good job for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
In an episode where there is so much talking, that has to be the best quality. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, and with the facial expressions as well, and the sound design.
The sound design was also good. And the music, of course, the scores were great.
Yeah, I didn't hear it when I first was listening to the Ruby and Yang scene, but it's the same song that plays in the credits, and you just hear this I can't remember what it is off my head, but it's just like a track, but then you hear this constant metal ting.
Yeah.
So it just has this kind of, when you listen back to it, it feels really tense, and obviously back to that Yang and
because that conversation with Ruby and Yang was tense.
Yeah.
Whereas the one with Nora and Ruby and Yang, and then Nora and Ren, theirs was the score in that I needed to listen to a bit more closer, but it was really pretty. I really liked that score.
Yeah. Well, there is. I noticed the Yang and Ruby one is because it played again in the credits.
You played in the credits, yeah.
It's a lot more clearer.
Yeah.
In that. But,
when we actually get the soundtrack with the scores, it's that's when we can really more analyze it, because it's hard to hear it sometimes in the episode with everything else going on.
Yeah. And again, I think this episode again had more people on the sound team than usual, same as last episode. I don't think we've gotten an official word on why that is. If that's just Jeff getting some help, or if that's extra people coming into the show, or what, I don't know. But I'm curious to hear that. I'm curious to hear. But I think it's worked really well.
Yeah.
These 2 episodes especially have obviously sounded different with more people's hands on it, and I think it's hasn't harmed the show musically in any way. I think it's, just made it more noticeable, but it's still the same.
Yeah.
So it's quite good.
All right.
A bit of freshness, but it feels the same still.
Yeah. Well, I think that's our thoughts on the episode overall. We'll break down the episode now and go through each section. So the first scene of the episode was everyone seeing Ironwood's broadcast. So we saw the citizens of Atlas in the subways.
We got confirmation that they're still Grim around. They haven't.
Oh yes, that too. Yeah, I forgot about that.
They're still Grim attacking.
They're still Grim attacking.
I think that goes against some of my thoughts last episode.
Yeah.
But we also this is the first episode we didn't get the black fade in. It was just a quick cut.
It was actually. Yeah.
So there goes that trend. So we still got the one word titles. I'm still holding on to that.
We do risk, which actually was the word risk was stated several times in the episode. But yeah, I love the starting scene of this because it's really setting the mood. You got the Grim attacking. Ironwood's there. He's broadcast that which of course was directed to Penny, but everyone's hearing it. You got the citizens of Atlas in the subways, and of course the citizens of Mantle down in the crater. You see
Happy Huntresses.
The Happy Huntresses. I was going to say it was May, Fiona, and
Joanna.
We saw them there, Johanna, yes. And Fiona had the score and she dropped it, of course, and they all sort of like comforted each other because out of this, unless something else happens, of course, either Mantle's going to fend for itself or it's going to get blown up. So both, no matter what happens, it's not looking good for Mantle, no. And all those people down there, you see the kids as well that we've seen previously, and some of the other characters we've seen in previous episodes and last volume as well, huddled down there.
Yeah, they've done a good job these past 2 seasons of reusing a lot of models and stuff just to give you that kind of like sense of like, these are people, this is bad.
Yeah, it's good because when we see the citizens in Atlas, we don't really recognise any of them. Actually, I did recognise one of the guys from the scene earlier in the volume when the whale first landed on Atlas and the started attacking. I recognised him.
Yeah, a lot of Mantle characters were a lot more like kind of like, oh, we saw them here, we saw them there, we saw them there.
Yeah, whereas the Atlas ones we don't recognise too much. There are still a few like students that we can see from Atlas Academy.
Yeah, I love that detail. I love the uniforms and students.
Yeah, because they're not characters we've seen before, but they've you can, when you look at them, there are a lot of a mixture of different sorts of people, as I think we mentioned last stream as well, when we did have that little scene of them down in the subway. You can see like the businessmen and their families and the kids and the students and all sorts of people crammed in the subways. Yeah.
So it really gives you that kind of just sense of like, and like the Aesop's pointed at the next scene, like how much of this is just an empty threat or not.
Yeah, well, that's what they're thinking. It's just an empty threat. It's not going to do it. And of course, RWBY comes in soon after that and so get people ready to drop the payload. When it's like, what for? And I was like, I thought I was being clear in my broadcast. And that's when they all realised he is going to do it, which we knew because... we knew there's something he could do. It wasn't an empty threat, but I'm glad they had that confirmation though. And then people are like, oh, he's really going to do it. Also, when we see RWBY walking down the passageway, there's those 2 other soldiers the ones who reported about Crow and Robin escaping. I love how you see them sort of coming and looking at something on the scroll and like, oh shit, as he walks past. Everyone's terrified of him.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. Like Harriet mentions that like Harriet clearly doesn't care.
No.
To my surprise, again, I've been pretty harsh on this volume, but I think like Elm seemed quite like concerned. And, I'm wondering. She kind of had a bit of a turn here because I've always said I thought Elm has subtly been far more infuriating than Harriet has been. I feel like Harriet at least I kind of understand and kind of get where she's coming from, whereas Elm don't enough about her to kind of be like like, why is she such a bitch? But
I think too with Harriet, like there's possibly deep down that she is concerned about all of this, but she's just pushing it down because of how angry she is. That's what I sort of get the feeling, like she has this sort of persona that she's angry, she's pissed and everything, and she's it's sort of blinding her view of things.
We know that this at least stems from Tortuga and whatever history that character has with Harriet and his death, we assume.
Yes.
Obviously that's a big role, plays a role in most of Harriet's motivations as we see. And obviously just, like the loyalty. And again, like you've seen, like again, like and it's one of those hard things where it's like, we know that Ironwood is a good man. We know he can be a good man. We know he does have a lot of the time best intentions and all this stuff. And it's like, when you're loyal to someone and you see them changing, it's one of those. It's really difficult. It's a really difficult thing just to turn your back on them.
Yeah.
And we've also seen what happens when you do that to Ironwood.
Yes.
The same thing like with what Team RWBY did like last volume and stuff. And it's one of those things where, I get the idea of also staying in line. And also wanting to hope that Ironwood is doing the best. Yeah. So, it's definitely difficult, but as you said, like, gonna get the drones ready to pay it, to use the payload and stuff, but then... then Mara kind of stands his ground.
Yes, I love this scene with Mara because we've already seen him already sort of voicing his concerns that he's not liking where everything is going, and this sort of like was the last straw. I love everything that he is saying here. Like he's trying to get Ironwood, just see what is happening, but I was so sort of blinded with his sort of very vision of just saving Atlas. Who cares about anything else, sort of thing. And of course Mary went to walk away. Now I don't know if I would have necessarily killed him when he shot him because of aura and all, but it was still like he did with the councilman.
It was still the intention and kind of
absolutely.
And Winter has to come in with the save, kind of like faking arresting him.
Absolutely. We assume that Winter's faking him.
Just to kind of make sure he doesn't get killed or shot or whatever the
exactly
would have been.
And this is a good way for both of them to get out of the room with yes. Absolutely, yes. But I like that as well. That you want a collar, well.
And that was a good line too. Like the uniform and all that stuff was like a collar and stuff. Little on the nose, but again, still very nice.
Yeah. Well, I think it was more talking about his rank, actually, because I originally thought it was uniform. But when he's talking about he used to wear this rank with pride, but now he realizes it's a collar. Yeah. Kaylee, thank you for the host. I hope the boobcast went well. Yeah. I hope Winter and Crow find the kids. I just realised Winter had a moment with her mum, Willow. No, she hasn't. No. Yeah.
I mean, I with 3 episodes left, I imagine I still think I don't know if we'll get the reunion with them and the kids. I think we'll get Crow, Ironwood, and
I think everyone's going to meet at the vault. It's a party in the vault.
Yeah. Okay.
Again.
That's actually a fair point. That's actually a good point.
I think that's what's going to happen there, because we might as well go into this next scene because it's kind of to do with of course, with Ironwood, and that was with Crow and Robin. So Crow and Robin making their way. They got the weapons back, which is great. And Crow's just like, got to kill Ironwood, which, I hope he's the one to kill Ironwood, to be honest. But I like how Robin stepped in this scene and was like, no, another way. Like, sure, Ironwood does deserve it in a way, but if they fail, then that's that.
Yeah, I mean, they can't just run in blindlessly. And do it, and we'll get into this because this I think is a bigger thing that came out this week. That was kind of talked about a lot. Robin brings up the point, sure, he deserves it, but again, and you think to why, and you think like, again, there really isn't a particular reason why Crow should be so vengeful against Ironwood. Sure, he tried to arrest his niece and stuff, and he's doing all this bad stuff, but why be so personal? And obviously Crow connects that to Clover.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's stupid.
Yeah.
Crow's just blindly doing that.
Yeah, he's angry, he's hurting, he wants revenge, and
like Robin said, this isn't just about Clover. This is years of just bullshit and stuff that Crow's dealt with, and this is kind of all gonna
we've had him for a long time.
Which probably, the reasoning, and that's just the thing. That reasoning isn't fair for Ironwood. Yes, we should take him down, we should beat him, maybe even kill him. But it shouldn't be for. You got to make sure they're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And she references back. Clover died fighting for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
Don't make that same mistake. Is actually what she was implying.
Yeah.
Now, that caused a bit of a hubbub online.
Oh right.
Because a lot of people think that was like really unfair or insulting to Clover.
No, I think it's more like Crow always used to be fighting with good intentions and for everyone, but at the moment he just wants to kill Ironwood for him, not for everyone. Yeah. And that's more what she was implying in my point of view.
And also, it also just goes back to, again, the whole point of like, the Tyrion Clover fight wasn't super clear in the sense of that, like, what everyone was doing in, because obviously a lot of people saw that fight and were thinking, oh, how could Crow team up with Tyrion? That makes him the bad person in the fight, that makes him the worst person. But if you go back and the fight closely, you can see that Clover is the one that is started it. He's the one who's trying to arrest Crow. He's the one not willing to work with Crow. He gave Crow no choice. Crow was just trying to kind of take Clover out of the picture, not kill him, just get him out of the way so that he can take Tyrion himself, kind of thing. And I think Robin here saying that was kind of establish that to the audience who missed that.
Yeah.
But it can also be interpreted as just simply throwing away Clover's character and just ignoring that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think a big thing too is that this obviously has a lot to do with headcanon in terms of Clover's character and him being, very headcanoned as a gay character and relationships to Crow being a bisexual character, and obviously that's a bit of a sensitive area.
Yes.
Now, Caden trans voice actor.
Yes.
For May Marigold.
Maze. Yep.
Very, very good friend with the creators of the show and stuff. Works for Rooster Teeth, etc., etc. Now she came out, and now again, whether or not this is necessarily, Bible with the scripture 100%, but I there's no reason not to believe it. She came out and basically said that Clover was never ever written as a gay character.
Okay.
That was never an intentional thing, and that's just a headcanon thing that people latched onto. That she herself loves the headcanon. She's a big fan of it. She's a fan of the ship, but you can't. But basically you can't use the kill the gays trope.
Yeah.
For Clover, if he wasn't gay. Now, yes, you use headcanon as such.
Headcanon, but there was never actual confirmation
Yeah. And again, it just comes to think about it logically.
Yeah.
When they wrote the show and they made the character Clover, and he's gonna new character that's gonna die at the end of the volume to set up stuff going forward. Why would they intentionally give that character the gay trait? Sorry, that's probably a bad way to put it. But why would they give him that character, knowing he was going to die?
Yes.
When that would obviously piss off a lot of the fan base.
Yeah, exactly.
So they built this budding friendship, and that's what I always loved about Crow and Clover, and that's what the fandom kind of made me dislike about the Clover characters. I always liked the idea of these companions, these friends that have such a respect for each other.
Yeah.
That this is a person that I can be around because of good luck and stuff. This is a man I respect a lot.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. He's never probably had a male friend other than Ty, who he's clearly never got along with.
No.
Such this different kind of mutual, and he spent so long hanging around with kids, so he finally met this guy that he could relate to and be best buddies with and stuff.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's just more like a friendship, a betrayal kind of thing than it is a love thing. It's not a romantic thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is. Who knows? Maybe it could be still from Crow's aspect.
But absolutely.
But Clover it wasn't.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Like, either way, I enjoyed their friendship, and and it was Crow finally found someone, not necessarily romantically, but he just found someone who he could have a friendship with, without worrying about semblance and everything. And he had a great respect for him. I really loved him as a friend. Maybe he might have had a bit of a crush on him, possibly. But either way, like, it was his friend. He really got close with over that period of time. And of course, what happened was just very unfair.
I just remember thinking so funny when we first got introduced to Clover. And I was like, man, this is the most boring straight white character I've ever seen. And I assumed everyone would hate Clover.
Yeah.
But again, people made the headcanon. And that made everyone fall in love with Clover. And again, Clover was a very genuinely nice guy.
It was because of the mine scene, because there was a lot of like little hints there that, and everyone was like, oh.
It's so funny. Like on paper, I feel like Clover should be the most boring character. Like, he's just a good, nice guy.
Yeah.
He's just, the old white guy is just really nice. And that, to me, in my warped brain dealing with the RWBY fandom for 7 years, that to me equals, that would be a really boring character that no one's going to love, but people make headcanons and they actually really like him. And I love that Clover was a generally nice guy who, again, in the end, made the mistake with loyalty to Ironwood and stuff, and was just trying to do his job when he should have done the right thing.
Yeah.
So that whole scene caused a little bit of a hubbub. But yeah, like we said, the intention, I think, was right in terms of saying, like, you're the better man because, in that moment, you were trying to do the right thing.
Yes. Rather than just following orders.
That whole time, wasn't.
Exactly. And hopefully whoever came down the elevator, I'm hoping it's Winter and Murray, because that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but again, it also goes back to we misread the bird in the prison cell.
Oh, that's true.
Yes. Oh, is that Raven?
I don't know. It just came out. I had so many people commenting on that. I was like, I'm sorry. It's just what came out of my.
Well, like it could be Raven on time the elevator. It could be like a red herring that was arrow in.
That would be funny.
Winter, because again, like, if anyone's going to show up, Raven's the only one that makes sense,
as
even though that's very far out of left field and very
it could be like Glinda. That would be funny.
That's why I say Raven is because Raven's the only one who can get there in time.
It's just their expressions seem very shocked, like, which makes me think
there was definitely two people, because their eyes definitely tracked two people,
but it was just like, I don't know.
And it makes sense that Mara and Winter will be heading down.
It makes sense for them. It's just their reactions to me make me think maybe it wasn't them. It's someone completely they were not expecting to be in the elevator. Yeah, they would expect to see Winter and Mara possibly because they're being the Aesops and Ironwood. But again, it's just...
I'll leave that on a cliffhanger other than to tease us, which again,
yes.
they definitely tease us and then to give us the most obvious answer and be like, you. And...
I don't know. I'm hoping it makes sense for Winter and
It
Marrow.
makes no sense for it to be Winter and Marrow.
But
I like those 4 characters like teaming up together. I like the
someone was came up with a name for them. I forgot what it was.
Yeah. Whereas I feel like if Raven
Brave,
and
it was Brave. So Crow Branwen, so B, and then it was
I'm
trying to remember now. It was Robin. Then it was Robin, and then it was Marrow because his surname, and then
Winter's name.
Where was Winter? Oh god, I can't remember now. I'm pretty sure it was Brave. I saw it on Twitter. Anyway, I think it was Brave. I'm sure someone will comment on that. But yeah, they came up with a team name for them already.
Nice.
Basically.
I like that use those 4 characters there. And admittedly, if it was Crow, Raven, Ty, and Robin, I feel like Robin would feel a bit out of the picture.
Yeah. It makes sense for it to be Winter and Marrow because we'll find out in this episode, hopefully. Vegas wait till chapter 13. But
we'll jump back a bit back to the mansion.
Yes, mansion. Yes.
With obviously our heroes were all there talking about the situation, like Salem's gone for only for a little bit, Ironwood's gonna blow up the city. What are we gonna do? I kind of forget at times. I feel like it comes off a little like and Oscar's character is written in such an interesting way.
Yeah.
Because he's so young, sometimes he says stuff that sounds really kind of dumb.
Yep.
He says stuff like Emerald isn't working for Salem anymore, and Emerald's on our side, or like he says
yeah.
I was reminded once of a fairy tale, and it's like that was probably your story that you made up, kind of thing. Yeah, so it's always quite funny. And Oscar's done this like a few times, I think, in volume 7 and 8, where he says these kind of things that's kind of like. It's like, well, that was a dumb line, but then you remember he's a 14-year-old kid. Kind of thing.
It's just
optimist. He's a bit naive and stuff, and it makes sense for the character for sure. But just every time he mentions like Emerald to switch sides, it's like it's really Emerald saying that. It shouldn't be Oscar saying that on her behalf, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But again, it makes it just like he's a youthful optimist.
He's sticking up for Emerald at the moment. I also like in this too. So RWBY says like we're in the same place as we were yesterday. So yesterday, of course, will be not when they were in the Shani Manor, but when they were actually down in Mantle and at the start of the volume. And so it just shows that a day's passed since the start of the volume, and a lot has happened in 24 hours, basically. But I like that confirmation of time. As well. So a day's passed since that.
I would say it's exactly 24 hours, but
roughly a day later.
A day, maybe a bit more, a bit less, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's a vagueness, but it's a very least.
Yeah. But I really like that confirmation of time in that too. And RWBY is just like she doesn't know what to do. She's torn. And it's just too much. And also we do see later in that scene also what's also on her mind too. I love how she just ran out of this room because normally RWBY is the one who is like, yes, we're going to do this. And as Emerald said, little Miss Hero doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. That was another line I thought was a bit odd at first. But
I liked it. Yeah, it was very Emerald.
I think the first time I listened to it, I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. Like, that was such a out of place line. But yeah, she's obviously referring to RWBY. Not knowing what to do.
And then we had the Red and Nora scene after that.
Yeah. So yeah, and I like the confirmation that the scar is going to be a permanent part of Nora's design. I love that detailing. I do if she ever gets off like a 4-3 design that they give her a better version of, but like the up spiked hair.
Yes, I loved her hair when it was sticking up. It was so cool.
Don't do it exact same. Like style it a bit better. But that same kind of just like upward spiked hair. If she gets like a 4-3 design, if she makes it to a 4-3 design.
I think this is good too because we have a bit more confirmation about scars. So we know Weiss's scar and Blake's scar and other scars we've seen because it always was like you have aura and healing abilities. Why do scars exist? And it seems to be either it's too late or the scars are just imprinted so much on the person that they just aura cannot penetrate them and can't heal them.
I think we had this discussion on a past podcast. I don't know how scars work in the real life. I don't know what causes a scar compared to why is there a scratch, why is there a scar.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if you have a scar, unless you're Harry Potter, I'm pretty sure if you have a scar, it is just a marking. It doesn't actually hurt once it's healed. It just looks like it still hurts.
Yes.
But I don't think it still does. Like I have a scar on my eyelid and it's very small. But, you know, my eyelid doesn't hurt any more than this eyelid does poking it.
No. So with scars, I guess in a way they're almost like tattoos in a way. Like they're imprinted on the skin and they can fade over time. But there are some scars depending...
I've already faded quite a bit.
Yeah, hey Jay! Depending on the injury as well, is just they can be... It's usually quite a big injury for you to have a scar. Like I had a burn mark on my arm for when I used to work at McDonald's but got burnt. And I had that scar for years. But over time it's faded now, you can't see it. But it just depends on the severity of the injury, whether the scar is actually permanent. Like I got a scar on my ear where I had stitches done after I cut it in half when I was younger. And that scar still exists. So it makes sense like when Weiss got hurt and it was such a significant injury to her face that it remained. And I guess with Nora's, these are electrical burns. And burns generally do scar and can be permanent scarring. But I've read and seen sort of articles of people with burn injuries. Quite often, burn injuries, the scars are permanent. You can't heal them as such. Sometimes you can do skin grafts to replace them, but generally, there's such a significant injury, depending on the level of the burn, of course. They're permanent. You can't.
I mean, and also,
them.
there are also plenty of older, I think, tattoo techniques that don't use ink, that just scar the body instead into like markings and stuff, like through like I think some blood blister techniques. I think even some burning techniques where you can basically make tattoos without ink. So it's definitely a thing. And but I love that addition to a character. It's just a nice
branding as well, like when you brand an animal. That sort of thing. That's also permanent because it's burning the skin.
So that's basically what's happened here.
Yeah, so she's got these electrical burns all over her that Aura can't penetrate and heal. So she's stuck with them for the time being, unless there's some other way of healing later.
Aura is meant to heal fatal injuries.
Yeah.
So, a marking on the skin.
There's going to be some injuries that it can't heal.
Would probably heal any chance of infection of said scar, or heal any kind of, blood work injury that would come of a scar, but it wouldn't necessarily heal the marking itself because it's not in any way harmful to the body. It's just a marking.
Yeah, it may have healed the aspect of the burn itself, but the scar itself, couldn't heal.
Like I don't imagine if you grabbed Nora's wrist, she'd necessarily be in pain from like burning or anything like that.
Yeah, because with a burn,
the burn is probably
burns take a long time to heal and extremely painful. So I think since we see her walking around after this scene too, that she's been healed to the extent that the burn injury itself is healed.
Yes.
But the scars remain.
Yeah, I just shout out to like I remember it's so funny thinking that Volume 5 was like a long time from the start of the show when thinking about Volume 5 now.
It feels so long ago.
But yeah, like I do like that Jean's semblance is something that keeps coming up as like, a real X factor in the show. Like, while short, you can look at it and think, oh, this is like, it's everything, blah, 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 blah. But I like the fact that, again, it was something that was built up for 5 volumes, that it had to be something significant. And even though when we got it at the time, it wasn't that significant. Sure, it saved Weiss's life, which was awesome.
Yes.
But, it's like, amplifying Aura, but, obviously 2 instances in this episode here where, like, it had a big kind of plot relevance.
You did. He's got a very powerful, strong semblance that's very useful as healing, but also in amplifying others' emblems and auras. Yeah. We're talking about chapter 11, Jay. Yeah.
So then we get the Ren and Nora kind of just discussing themselves, kind of catching each other up on what's happened, and Nora finally kind of gets all this kind of frustration she's had with Ren kind of off her chest, and kind of like,
But she's feeling bad about herself in this scenario too. Like it's a ditzy move by Nora. She, went and hit this thing, injuring herself. She still ended up actually. It was the right move at the time because then the others were able to help Penny, but she sort of saw it as something stupid that she did that's resulted in her now being permanently scarred. So she's feeling shitty about herself here.
A part of Nora's arc is a bit meta, maybe a bit too on the meta nose in terms of like, it's obviously kind of like self-criticizing Nora's character in general.
Yeah.
Like from like, a writing standpoint, that she has always just been the ditzy,
Well, I think
stuff from the hammer side, which I get the idea is they're trying to, it's like Cinder failing. Turn that into a character trait of hers.
That's
they're
true.
Doing the same thing with Nora, except for Nora, it's everything about her at the moment, at least.
Well, no,
so I'm curious to see how Nora goes going forward.
I feel even Nora, she's trying to find out who she is. And finding her own self-identity is important. And I really love that for her as her character growth. Because as she says, it's always been Ren and Nora. It's always been them.
That's what makes it a bit more tolerable when she kind of spins that angle on it.
Yeah, because at the moment she's critical of herself because she really doesn't know who she is. She hasn't got her own self-identity. And she's come to realize that now, that she needs to figure out who she is before she can then be in a relationship with Ren.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing this volume. A big theme of this volume, I'd say, was individuality. I think would be a good theme for this volume, because obviously we had the same thing with like Blake and Yang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had there was a lot of fandom outroar, so we kind of separated those two characters and let them kind of flesh out themselves. Like Blake didn't get a lot, but Yang got a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like for them they really grew
separated at least.
Separated.
And that's obviously when they came back together, it was kind of more impactful than it would have been otherwise. They got the same thing with Ren and Nora.
I love this scene too. Ren's pouring out his heart. Also, I have to mention John was amazing in this too. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm out." Yeah. But yeah, like Ren's pouring out his heart. So if this had happened, say last volume, then I could definitely see Nora being more, yes, I love you too, rah, rah. But because
I think because they came together at the end of Volume 4, and it didn't really go anywhere. Because they came together at Volume 6, and then immediately dipped from there, I think Nora feels like, played with a bit. And I think that's why she kind of feels like she's a bit like, has to be a bit more reserved now. She can't be as open and loving to Ren at the moment because you threw me aside twice now.
Exactly.
Not to like a serious relationship degree, but just like a little it's like I don't know why though.
Well, Ren explains it. He says.
No, but I was saying before that why like Nora was reacting because she didn't know why. Then Ren explains himself. Yeah,
so I like how Ren says that he's been the one who's been letting them down, pushing everyone away, and because he felt that it was him who's being weak and who was failing. And
so sorry, just to jump in, but another bit of a meta reason, that's correct.
Yeah.
Ren is the one who tends to fail the most out of the team.
Yep.
He does.
And he blames himself for it.
I mean, even look at the very first Plays and Pieces fight. Ren was the only character who didn't do anything in that fight.
That's true.
And it's a constant thing. It was always a bit of a running joke because Monty was always really tired, so that was always a thing with Ren's character, that he got very tired very quickly. Kind of thing. So that was like a cute little thing they did there.
Yeah. I love this all overall. And yes, it's sad that Nora is not able to
she's not willing to do that for a third time yet.
She doesn't. We had Well, we also had in this scene a tiny little backstory about her mum who left her.
Yes.
Interesting mentioning mum, no dad, no family, just mum left me. And Ren found her and she said, I've always loved you. It's just, I feel like I need to figure out who I am before I can be the partner that you need. And she's asked, is that okay? And I feel like even though, yes, Nora in this instance is the one who's pushing away at this point, but they've also come, in my opinion, more closer.
Yeah, 100%.
And they do love each other. They're just trying to figure each other out. And Ren, at least she said, Ren's a bit more, his pretty head's a little bit more, better now, which is great.
Because Ren has found himself in the last two volumes.
Yes.
Ren himself has been his own character in the past two volumes, where Nora, yes, last volume was still very independent. She was very, fighting for Mantle, and she was still very much herself, whereas this volume she hasn't really had the chance to, because she got hurt. Again, doing the same old stuff, the same old Volume 5, Volume 4 Nora stuff. And she's always been the one to really sort of push with the relationship. She's the one who's get away from my man. She forced the kiss, and those things. And again,
well, this time it's Ren saying, "Look, I love you," and she's I've always loved you, but I'm trying to figure myself out here. And the emotion scene that when Ren C course is the pink petals, which matches his pink petals. It's also the petal that we see in the intro. I love all of that. So
Yeah, it's very like, you know, like third time wasn't quite the charm here, because obviously at the end of Volume 4, Volume 7 now here, and it's like we're not going to quite get there, but you know, like we definitely will, and I think it's really cool too for Nora, because obviously Nora's been a bit sidelined this volume, but I think this sets up well for the Penny stuff later in the volume, for later in the episode. And again, I'm still on the Nora becoming the maiden. I still think
that could happen.
Track, and I feel like this helps that, like, especially when I don't know, maybe it goes against the whole Nora finding herself.
Well, that's the only thing. I don't know about Nora becoming maiden now, but
that also could be like a good, like, further showing of that struggle of that, like, say Nora's trying to become herself, but then she ends up being tied to this maiden power, and then she loses herself further.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but
that's fine. I'll say that in terms of what we saw we'll get to in a little bit, I'd much rather Nora become the maiden than RWBY.
Yeah.
That's just me. I mean, obviously, I'd still prefer just to be save Penny.
Yeah, exactly.
If I had to go to someone, right now I'd feel like Nora would be the one I'm most okay with. Went to anyone else, I feel like I'd be it could go to Emerald, I guess, but also I feel like Cinder's power could go to Emerald, so I'm not too sure.
Yeah. And the Ren and Nora scene was the one that I cried in, of course, in my reaction. So,
what was that? Sorry,
I said Ren and Nora was the scene where I cried. Yeah. But I love their embrace at the end of the scene too. It's adorable.
It's very nice. It's very, and again, especially I think in this day and age too, where, like, you know, relationships are a bit more like, you know, understanding. You got to be a bit more, like, you know, tolerant of people, and you got to be very, like, you know, understanding of each other. And I feel like this is a really cool way of showing that, kind of like, again, like the two kind of like coming together, loving each other, but giving them the space they need.
Yeah, and they're our first real canon couple out of the main characters. So the fact that we're not rushing into a relationship here, I think, is also good, because there is a lot going on at the moment as well. But I just like that how, like, the series isn't all about everyone hooking up and being in relationships. There's a lot more going on. And I'm glad in this case that they're not going into that trope where suddenly they're both in a relationship. It's just, they're taking it at a bone pace.
It's very distracting, for sure. Yeah. It's kind of my issue with, at least from a fandom side, Blake and Yang, because I feel like the fandom very much harps on them being a couple, and I feel like, to me, that kind of like takes it, like, and not that the show doesn't do it.
Yeah.
It's not the show that does it.
It's
but,
the fandom,
it's like one of those things, again, like, there's more, the story should be more than just that. Like that can be included, but the story needs to be more than just that.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Well, moving along to RWBY and Yang, I think we should move along as well, just keeping on time. So this scene again, I loved. Yang's doing her, you know, joking sort of thing. Yeah, you know, you went against the Hound and you run up to your sister, etc. Yeah. But then we got down to what's really on RWBY's mind here. And I love how they animated RWBY in this scene too, just how defeated she looks, and her body language.
They keep showing RWBY with shots where you can only see one of her eyes.
Yeah, I know. Stop it.
I'm just saying they keep covering one of her eyes.
But yes, I just. It also, because when you RWBY, it's of course seen the fairness, that was the Hound. But just confirmation that she did notice that he had silver eyes. And of course, then that's making her think what happened to Summer, why Salem wants her alive. We always assumed Salem wanted her alive because of Cinder, but there's also the possibility that it wasn't just Cinder. Cinder why Salem wanted her alive as well.
I mean, our theory was always keep RWBY so that Cinder has, you know, a target. You know,
yes.
Keep RWBY around so that Cinder has a target. And it doesn't seem to be the case, and I love too the mention, like, you know, but you tried to kill Maria. I love that. That was a point that she's like, and it's one of those things where obviously we saw the Hound, and obviously the fact that it was Silver Warrior, and we all assumed, that has something to do with Summer, blah blah blah. Blah. It is quite refreshing to see RWBY come to that conclusion as well.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I remember when I first watched the scene, and I'm like, how does RWBY know that Salem wants her alive? But I've recently gone back and rewatched, and I'm like, Tyrion. That was the whole point of Tyrion was to capture her and bring her to Salem. So RWBY has known that Salem has been after her this whole time.
It wasn't just killing her; it was actually getting her alive.
It skipped my mind at the time, like I had to know that detail. But yeah, that was Tyrion's whole character in the Volume 4 was getting RWBY to try to take her back to Salem. So RWBY knows that Salem has tried to capture her in the past, not just tried to kill her.
Yeah.
Obviously she learned, but then it wasn't until she met Maria and realized that Salem had been, or not until their talk in Volume 8 and Episode 10, that, or 9, 10? 9. Anyway, that they, 9, 8.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, that Maria was tried to be killed, was hunted by Salem.
Yep.
And all this stuff that Maria kept telling her at the time, that, Salem, or someone's hunting down Silver-Eyed Warriors, that's why it was so rare. And RWBY then was like, but why was I tried to be captured? And she didn't mention it at the time. She was more focused on like the Cinder Grimoire, which I still don't know if RWBY knows that yet. I still unsure if RWBY is clear if Cinder has this grim arm yet.
I don't think she knows. Because you haven't really had the opportunity to see it in action yet at all.
She would have learned is when she silver-eyed Cinder at the end of Volume 7.
I don't think she saw.
Yeah, but she might not have seen it. But even though, all she knows is that her silver eyes react to Cinder, whether or not she would have. I mean, she would have saw the grim arm at the moment, whether or not she retained that information and kind of noticed that necessarily.
Don't know.
The whole, they kind of just jump into the conclusion that, Summer, Summer, like Salem learnt through Summer that she can do something new. And again, I love the other, obviously Yang and RWBY being the two characters who have confronted Salem, both had Summer references in their confrontation. Have kind of come together and distracted this, and I love Yang talking about Summer. That's something that's been
yes.
Like RWBY, I don't mind RWBY not talking about, but I feel like Yang not talking about Summer always felt a little. But obviously the Raven thing was a big distraction for her. But to hear her talk about Summer and how much she looked up to her, and how much she loved her,
yes, Summer is still her hero.
Yeah, that was really nice. And
I love that.
RWBY in that moment didn't feel comfortable in that moment.
She's still upset, and you can tell like she kind of wants to pull away from Yang, but then she does lean into the hug.
I love that.
They're also, before that little hug as well, they were talking about how RWBY's plan with Amity failed.
Yeah, and Yang's plan failed too, and they kind of came together. And
both the things they didn't agree on the day earlier. They both went their own separate ways to do these plans. They both, in a way, failed. But as Yang said, though, they still achieved a lot.
Yeah. I mean, and I also kind of like that. I remember we all thought going into the into this whole argument discussion between the two characters back in the start of the volume that we're like, I think most of us were pretty much on RWBY's side. Like we saw both sides, but most of us RWBY's idea was a bit better.
Yes.
Like we thought that Yang's idea was a bit more short-sighted.
Yes.
But in the end, Yang's plan was, I wouldn't say it's more successful. We don't know how successful Amity was yet.
No.
But they got Emerald. They saved Oscar, kind of thing.
Yeah. They did a lot, and
plan in a sense did more. For now, at least, we'll see how who comes or whatever.
Yeah.
Gear eventually arrive, or Glinda comes with a Resistance, or Raven and Ty. We don't quite know yet.
We don't know yet. I'm hoping that
except for maybe Raven again, because she can teleport. But that's the only reason why I would say Raven.
I liked how Yang also said in this too, like saying to RWBY, look, it was a risk that we took, and risks are not guaranteed for success. That's why they're called risks.
They're not sure things.
Sure things, that's it. And how she also said, it was optimism and hope.
Shows with dialogue sometimes can be so funny sometimes.
Yeah.
Not bad, just
sometimes.
but still back to these characters nonetheless.
Yeah, and I really like how Yang said, like, we need hope. And that's what RWBY's message to everyone was, hope, and to get the signal out there. So, and it's only been like less than a day since the message went out. So,
I just realized I would hope Ozpin would bring this up at some point. I just realized too.
Yeah,
that's a really cool. You just mentioned it there. That's a really cool reference, obviously, to Ozpin and RWBY's kind of one of their first meet. I guess their second meet, whatever. When Ozpin is like, it's only been one day.
Yes.
Yeah, RWBY was failing to be a leader. Parallel here between that. I'll be cool if Ozpin brought that up at some point, because I feel like there's a nice parallel you have there.
Yep.
Between these two moments.
And then of course the moment got ruined by Penny trying to escape.
I last now we had these Sean runs, and like the last minute, oh yeah, come here.
It's like, hurry!
running
But he said when he left Ren and Nora, he said he's going to see Klein needs any help with Penny. So it's likely he did actually go, and he was in the room when Penny jumped out.
Well, be quiet, not make noise. I hear it's like as everybody's like, follow me. But yeah, obviously, Klein, Whitley, Willow, and Jean were looking after Penny. Penny obviously comes to again. Escapes. To break out of it, and this is now the first time that Ruby and Penny can kind of interact with like this Penny in this state. But Penny seemed to like Ruby, I'm sure, was caught up in Penny's condition.
Yes.
Like what was going on, because she seemed like, you know, aware enough to kind of be like, you know, like, what's going on, let me help you kind of thing. He struggles, and then it's like Penny, tell me how to help you, and then like tries to fly away, and it's one of those things where you realize a lot of characters have like rope weapons.
Yes.
Think about that. You see scenes like this, and like Blake, Ren's, and Emerald's like I remember immediately tweeted off the episode. It's like, if any of your OCs have rope weapons, I swear to God.
But I love this too. Like Ruby's just hugging or hanging on. I thought, oh, they're going to go to the vault together. But of course, everyone helped in, and I love how Emerald also helped in. It's like, do something. Weiss with the gravity glyph, but then pull them down. I love that detail. Then obviously the Winter Maiden power, but then John amplified the gravity glyph, which I really, again, I love those, again, combined with the semblance. I really like. It just shows how very useful Jean's influence is. Yeah, and that's what I said earlier. Like, you know, I like that this episode especially, and again, it makes it's one of those things where it feels like a bit like repetitive and a bit like, Jean's semblance. But we had 5 volumes to build up the semblance. We knew that semblance was going to be this kind of it was going to be something very. He's a support character, and I love that he is a supporting semblance. and again, Jean has definitely fallen more into that support. Obviously, Jean had a lot of development in the first 3 volumes. Yeah, but he's kind of very much fallen into like this support character role and stuff. But even then, like I say that, but then you obviously look back at Ren and Yang in episode 8, where, like, you know, they talk about how inspiring Jean, how, like, you know, he believes we're going to do this kind of thing. Yeah. So even though he is, I wouldn't say relegated, but he's now kind of like definitely a more defined side character than he has been. Yes. He still, you know, obviously is very essential to the group, both emotionally and obviously his semblance. Yeah, he's definitely grown a lot since the Full Beacon. So while we had obviously Ren and Nora, that was very sad. We also had Summer. Sad. As someone who is an absolute maniac and just loves being hurt, emotionally. It was the scene when Penny said, "Kill me," wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I get a little teary in that one too. That's the I thrive for. Yeah. I love that kind of storytelling stuff when it's like, I love storytelling. Make it like I know some people love horror because they love being scared. Yeah, I love being hurt. And yeah, and like this kind of thing, just really. Oh, and I will say too, I know we've been talking about this off screen, but I've been watching the Rapunzel Tangle series. Catching up with that. The artwork that has a lot of similar. Yes. I'm gonna say it's based off Kara's hair. That wasn't the intention, but I'm gonna say it's based off the voice actress's hair. Now it's Ruby. Yeah, it's Ruby. But yeah, like that has a lot of similar kind of like deep, like, you know, betrayal, cuts, kind of hurting, kind of friendship kind of things, messages in it. No, like if Ruby got the got the Winter Maiden powers from Penny dying, I think would just be it would be horrific in a way. Like, she's got this magical power, but her friends died. Like, that would just be really painful. I guess the main. I'm glad they brought this up, because obviously this was like, you know, a possibility. So I'm glad they mentioned, even in this dark way. But again, it's just from a writing standpoint. I know not to get too meta, but just Ruby has Silver Eyes. Ruby has a really cool weapon and a scythe. I feel like giving her maiden powers would just take so much away from her. Yeah, but we also don't know too, like with the Silver Eyes, with whether it will be compatible with the maiden powers. I mean, that would be an interesting idea. Yeah. If Penny does die and the power tries to go to Ruby but can't because of her Silver Eyes. Yeah, because we don't know if that's going to have an effect, because the maiden powers is also in a way linked to the eyes, because you see the flaming eyes whenever they're using their powers. So how's that going to go with someone who has silver eyes? where the eyes are already a source of power.
I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, except for maybe something to do with like because they're already considered Silver Eye is already like a magic.
Yeah.
That gets passed down. Like if maybe that would just like you'll just not be a compatible host for whatever reason. But no, so like I mean Penny saying that like it's and obviously everyone Blake Yang and Ruby all kind of like look shocked at like even the idea of it, and then obviously starts losing control again, and obviously Nora comes back with the line of it's just a part of you. If you were just a machine, you wouldn't be able.
Yeah, that's very. Yep.
This song, which again brings up again the Nora and Penny thing. So I like that again. Like again, if say Ruby wasn't compatible, Nora might be. They're seems to be getting closer, kind of thing. Again, I'm.
I also like to where like when Watts has said before that he was surprised that his virus hadn't like taken control yet. And it all comes down to the fact that Penny isn't just a machine. She's a person. She has a soul. She has an aura. And that's where Ruby came to that realization and says, John, boost her aura. Because that's the human part of her. So, which of course helped her fight the virus. But
I really like that.
Someone needs to contact Pietro and get him so we can design an antivirus for her. Because even though they say to go to the vault, but
far beyond communication range without
most likely
cells working, so there's no way they could contact them. And again, we still don't know, because again I think I watched episode 5 back again recently. I'm still convinced that Amity isn't going to fall anywhere near Atlas. I'm still convinced it's going to go somewhere Vale or Vacuo, like it's going to go far.
We don't know,
just my assumption. Because of how atmospheres and orbits work and stuff like that.
It could definitely land up somewhere.
We still got any word on like yes, Ruby says Atlas fell, but we still don't know.
Amity fell, we don't know where it's gone.
It's just fallen out of range or what. So we still got no idea what's happening necessarily with that. But obviously, everything's still a bit like
I love Emerald's scene in this too. Like
before we jump to that, I was just like Penny's like still like it's like John's like, did I do it? And it's like
no, fix it.
It's still there. I like the fact that it still is there. It's still something that and Nora mentions a bit later that we still got to take her to the vault because this isn't going to last forever, and John can't boost her.
Well, also like on that, like yes, the virus is a command to go to the vault, but it's also to self-terminate. So I am worried if they do get to the vault, which is one of the things she needed to do. If the virus takes control again, she might also try and self-terminate. So yeah.
It's a risk.
Risk. Anyway, yes, Emerald.
Yeah, yes. Again, it's one of those things where again I feel like the dialogue is a bit funny.
I liked it though. Hydrate.
I did. It's just one of those things where again, when you see a character audibly say switch sides and stuff like that, it's just a bit like like I don't know. Would you really say that in a situation? I don't know, like just how like on the nose they're being about it. But again, with Oscar, it's cute, and like with Emerald, it's cute as well. And again, like, because she's pissed, like, hey, don't fucking lose now that I'm on your side. Jesus,
exactly.
But I do like, again, like, again, similar to Emerald's previous line, this line took me a few times to get what she was talking about.
Yeah.
But she mentions too how, like, you're not the same people you were a day ago.
Let alone, like...
or way back, etc. But I think she was referencing, like, Ruby's outburst earlier.
Yes, she was,
But she does mean also in general, but you guys got your ass kicks. Some of that...
My fault.
So it took me a rewatch or two.
I really liked it. I love that line.
And
Oscar's really like, "Oh, you switched sides."
Yes, like that was funny. Like that, I like that.
Yeah.
And then they all like kind of all laughed at it, and like Emerald was sitting there pouting like a child. It's quite cute. It is.
And Ozpen, of course, then apologized.
I would just, but I wouldn't guarantee Emerald's loyalty yet.
Cinder's going to be the issue.
I accept that Emerald is working with us.
Yeah.
But will she be willing to go back with Cinder, or will she be trying to convince Cinder to join them as well? I doubt that'll work, but I think Emerald would still try that.
Maybe. Or try to convince, what's happening with Salem, and
But then Oscar comes back and retells that same fairy tale we heard earlier.
Yeah, and apologizes to everyone.
Yeah. But I like too, they've kind of used the whole thing of Ironwood as a way about trust and that to reevaluate how they felt in Volume 6.
Yep.
The Volume 7 kind of changed it between different Ozpin and kind of how you handle truths and trust and risk and that kind of stuff. And they kind of now come at Volume 8, they're kind of like, yeah, we can see why now you don't trust everyone of everything. We kind of
we get that. We understand now. Yeah.
Which I really like. I really like how they've gone about that. It's a nice bit of long-term storytelling through the 6 through 8, from Volume 6 to Volume 8. Quite like. And then I think pretty much just, the idea now is just like, well, what can we do? We can't keep Penny forever, but it's like, and again, I think we discussed this last podcast, at this point, we kind of just have to go and get the staff. What else do we do at this point? That's really our only choice. And RWBY kind of seemingly agrees. Now, what, like you said, like the risk is still obviously Penny would want to self-terminate. We got that risk. Are we going to pretend to be friends of Ironwood till we get the staff, then just make a run for it? Because I guess my idea is get the staff, don't use it obviously, just get the staff and just bolt it. Like, just get the staff and run.
The only thing at the moment, of course, is the staff is what's keeping Atlas up. And if they use the staff for anything else but that...
I think they could still remove it and take it away. You just can't use it for anything else.
No, they won't be able to use it.
Necessarily be an Atlas or anything like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's obviously a risk. But the staff might also need a password to use.
That's also true. Yeah.
So, they might not even know how to... Like, I think, I don't know.
Well, it was Oz's idea to use the staff to raise Atlas in the first place, so I say Oz would know the password.
Yeah, Oz would know, yes. But necessarily, I guess with what Ironwood's been saying, I guess he also must know.
I don't know.
Or at least, or maybe there isn't a password.
Or maybe,
this whole thing wouldn't make much sense if Ironwood couldn't even use the staff, kind of thing. So I guess he must know he can use the staff.
Yeah, he probably knows from when Oz used it last.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so RWBY, of course, rings Ironwood, tells that she's going to do it. Ironwood's down in the vault. And Watts and everyone overhear the communication. And Penny's there. I was reading Nightwalker's message. Neo's there. Yeah. So I think what they're trying to do is they're going to try and intercept them maybe before they get to the vault.
Possibly.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
That also sets off Ironwood because that also might delay them by the hour.
Yeah, well, they had to get back to him within an hour with the decision, so they have. So.
I mean, yes, but I mean, I still imagine if they don't show up on time because they say they got attacked by Cinder.
Yeah.
That would, piss off Ironwood. I can imagine.
That is possible.
So that'd be interesting. Again, that makes more sense because again, I don't think they want to do another Haven. I don't think they want to have everyone in the same location having a fight.
Mm-hmm.
So I could imagine, maybe more. And again, it's one of those things where I imagine right now the goal is just strictly RWBY. For the team, just let's get this out of the way. Let's deal with. Well,
they know,
get
what's happening.
Knowledge back with the password, then go. Maybe also get the main power, but get the relic of knowledge to kind of please Salem when she gets back.
Yeah, Nightwalker
that they need to get RWBY.
Said as well that Cinder might be trying to give up trying to get the main powers and focus on the relics and worry about Penny later. Yeah. I think it's a possibility, though at the moment I think Cinder still wants to get Penny's power, so...
Well, I think right now the priority is just RWBY for Neo's sake.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Priority. It's get the relic of knowledge so that when Salem comes back, that's at least something.
Because Ironwood did ask for Penny to enter the academy alone. So I say the others will be close by to assist.
Also, how will Crow and Robin interfere with this?
That's also that too. So I guess it all depends. Like we assume the relic, the vault is beneath Atlas Academy. So I guess
it's basically in the middle of the chunk.
Yeah, so if everyone so if everyone heads over to Atlas Academy, then that's where everything's going to go down, I'd say. And we'll get a bit more setting up next episode, but I think definitely the finale of the volume is going to be the party in the vault. So
at least the last 2 episodes, because there's probably a lot going on in the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, we've still got 3 episodes left. So
yeah. So
yes. Ooh.
Well, I'll admit, I think I said before this stream, I didn't think this would go very long. It went a lot longer than I thought it was going to.
It did.
So, you know, but I guess we are suckers for dialogue. I don't know why I assumed anything less.
Yes.
But thank you all.
Thank everyone for watching.
I think that's about it. But by all means, if you
I think we're good. I think I mentioned everything I wanted to say.
Of course, if you're watching live or the VOD on Twitch or the VOD on YouTube, thank you very much. Feel free to leave your comments in the description down below. Don't forget to, of course, praise the great one and wife.
Great one.
You know, who can barely hold up.
Poor Pocket Neo. Oh, it's gone. Yes. Please, if you're watching on YouTube, comment below your thoughts and any questions you may have. And thank you everyone who's watching on Twitch.
I'm going to double check Reddit for.
Oh yeah, the episode. Yes.
But yeah, thank you guys for coming along and watching. Obviously, me and Larissa just love talking about RWBY to ourselves.
We do.
And we're more than happy for anyone else to come and join our conversation.
Yes.
Is there any update on next week's stream? Because I think there was something last week that was.
Oh yeah. We might need to do the stream early next weekend, but I'll let you know just because it's my brother's wedding. So that's in the afternoon. So we might need to do the stream an hour earlier, but I'll let everyone know. Closer to. I need to figure out what my movements are.
Make sure to follow us both on Twitter to get updates. Make sure you know when the stream is happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let everyone know, and it will still be going up on YouTube as usual too. So 24 hours after the stream. You're right there, Max. There's a lot of sighing going on over there. He's just flaked out.
Okay, no update on the thumbnail yet, but given our luck, it'll either not come out or like last week, or it'll come out the second we stop the stream. Because that tends to be one of the two that happens.
That generally is what happens. But yes, thank you everyone for watching.
Watch out everyone for the fake thumbnails that are all floating.
Oh yes, there'll be probably fake thumbnails too. That sort of happened last week when there was no thumbnail. So thank everyone for watching. And bye. And we'll catch you all next week. Bye.